Hey guys, hope you're doing fantastic. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Big Al Show, featuring Michael Terbet, Realtor, the man. Super Turb is the nickname. How we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Of course.
Usually I'm sitting in your seat, so this is a treat.
Exactly. Yeah. I was actually on one yesterday, and I was like, man, I'm a lot more nervous when I'm on them versus when I'm interviewing the people for them. But Big Al Show is no pressure. But yeah, yesterday I was telling like my life story, and I was like, that's a little intense. But anyways, Michael Terbet, tell us a little bit about, just who you are, what you do, that sort of thing.
Yeah, brother, man. Like Big Al said, Michael Terbet, aka Super Turb. I have been in real estate now going on sugar almost 17 years. I started in 2006, was born into the position or going into real estate. My mother, Ida Terbet. We moved to Raleigh in 1986 when I was 7 years old. My dad was a retired captain, was a captain with American Airlines at the time, which is how we made the move to Raleigh. My mom went right into real estate in 87. Yeah. Never thought I'd do a day in my life, but here I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, if you guys don't know out there, Ida Terbet, who is Michael's mom's, been in the business, like you said, since the 80s. Definitely one of the queens of Raleigh Triangle real estate, and Terb's becoming the king of Triangle real estate. So he's following in that path, but that's awesome. Well, back me up all the way to you were a kid. Tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up. What you did for fun, what your family was like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, essentially I grew up here in Raleigh. I'm from California, as I think I said before. My mom went right in real estate school in 87. Prior to real estate, she's always been in sales. So,
nice.
What didn't take long for her to take off. Loved sports, was involved with rec sports growing up.
Yeah.
Thought that's what I was going to do. I actually was a college basketball coach, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but always grew up with my mom on the phone or a pager going off.
Yeah.
But she was a great role model, great leader, still the hardest working person I know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. She's a hell of a woman. So obviously I know you did a little bit of the coaching thing. When did you first play basketball? When did you first fall in love with the sport of basketball?
That's actually a great question. Funny story. So it was 5th grade when I moved to Raleigh. In California, you only knew football, baseball. Now, I loved all sports. I knew what basketball was, but that wasn't really a big thing in California. You moved to Raleigh, you moved to Tobacco Road, you need to know basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
And my mom, Ida, actually in 5th grade wanted me out of the house, said I signed you up for basketball with North Wake basketball. I fought her tooth and nail on it, and I started playing. And before you know, we had a hoop in my backyard, and it bit me like a bug, and that's what I decided I wanted to play. Prior to that, I played baseball, played middle school football, but basketball I took to, I think, because of the game. And there's really no other game, maybe outside of hockey, where you have to be ready to play football, offense and defense.
Right.
Instantaneous.
Yeah. It's a fast game. I mean, I think I've told you, I played AAU basketball. I actually had lunch yesterday with one of my buddies, Madison Jens. He used to play at Wake Forest. But yeah, I mean, I was talking to him, and I was, someone like that. I remember growing up, I was like, this guy's gonna get pro. I mean, he played in the league. He didn't play in the league. He played in college. Played for Division I basketball team, ACC.
We kind of laugh, my mom and I, now because of my mom, that led me to get into coaching.
Yeah,
which I was a manager at UNC Charlotte for 3 years to get my foot in the door with Coach Bobby Lutz, Benny Moss, Rob Moxley, Orlando Early, just phenomenal. Lane Odom. Phenomenal men, phenomenal coaches. And because of that, I actually interviewed out at a junior college in Sheridan, Wyoming, and ended up in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, at Ouachita Baptist University. So because of my mom in 5th grade, it led me in my coaching career.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you go to high school in Raleigh?
I did. I went to Millbrook High School through my 9th grade year, part of my sophomore year, and then went to Ravenscroft after my first 9 weeks of my sophomore year, which was a culture shock, to say the least, to of all things, play basketball.
Right. So you played basketball at Ravenscroft.
I did.
Didn't know that. See, learn something new in these podcasts all the time.
Play with some really good players.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you went to Ravenscroft. When you were in high school, were you like, hey, I want to be a pro basketball player at that time? What were you thinking you wanted to do?
Every kid's dream, at least at that point, my dream was to play Division I basketball.
Yeah.
Every level, though, you drop, you realize talent level gets a little bit better. And my old high school coach, who I'm still close to today, really big instrumental role model in my life, Coach Mark Miller, he's actually here still locally, Raleigh. He's kind of like, hey, Turb, why don't you look into coaching?
Yeah.
And I think I couldn't jump over a New York phone book.
Right.
So I figured, you know what? I love the game.
Yeah.
I have a big heart, but I'm 5'10".
Yeah. And so right after college is kind of when you got into coaching, and did you work any jobs before that?
No, I went right in. Like I said, I was a manager for UNC Charlotte.
Yep.
And we had a really good basketball program there. Coach Bobby Lutz. We were in the old Conference USA, so we played Memphis, DePaul, Marquette, Cincinnati. Went to 2 NCAA tournaments. So if you can't play in the college level, the next best way to get your foot in the door is become a manager.
Right.
What I like to say is student assistant. Sounds better.
Yeah.
But I did everything from laundry. I was at practice every day. Helped with film exchange. They knew I wanted to coach. Yeah. So it was basically an intern position where then they helped me get my job at Ouachita Baptist University, a great Division II school in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
Got it.
Actually, Benny Moss, he was the third assistant at the time at Charlotte, who later became the head coach at Wilmington. Now is the associate head coach at Coastal Carolina. Knew my boss in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I got to Ouachita.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So as far as coaching, I mean, I know you still do some coaching now for your son, or you did. I guess what's your favorite part about coaching, and what do you think's the hardest part about coaching?
Oh, sugar, that's a great question. I think what I love now, what I can say about coaching, and I can just tell about, because I get that question a lot, is do you miss it? And it's hard to believe I've been removed from the coaching life since 2006. Holy smoke. But I miss the guys.
Right.
I miss this, you're around the staff more than your actual family. I was in charge, at least at Ouachita, I was in charge of every film breakdown, scouting report. I was in charge of recruiting. I miss that inside the ropes feeling. It was a pretty cool to have a position where you're only one of a few hundred in the country that have an incentive. Because I tell people what I do, and they're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Of course, they're thinking about guys that are on ESPN making 7 figures.
Yeah.
You obviously coach for the love. I mean, I have many guys that I coached, with, or in the ranks. They're living in dorms, eating the cafeterias, just trying to work their way up.
Yeah.
Now, the things that I didn't like, finally was the educational side. Like I loved the kids as they worked hard, but for many, we had to get Division I talent with Division II grades, as I would say, at least at Ouachita.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were 2-year junior college transfers, where then we had to get them eligible once they were signed, and that was fine because as long as they worked hard, my coach did a great job helping them get into school and accomplish their goals. But it wore me out a little bit, and then realizing, okay, am I ready to move 5 times in 5 years to chase this dream?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because my original dream, probably why I'm doing this podcast, I wanted to be in broadcasting. I was like, maybe I'll be on Sports Center. At one point, I want to be the next David Letterman. But even similar in, broadcasting, kind of like coaching, to be a good reporter, you got to move out to the middle of West Virginia to start off making $20,000 a year. And, you can maybe slowly work your way up to WRL.
And I want to give a shout out to my wife, Leslie Terbet. We met our last year in school at Charlotte, and she was a nursing, got a nursing degree. She works at Wake Med here now, but
how did you guys first meet?
So, funny story there. Well, her sorority, AD Pie, she sat right behind our bench, because at the time, our best player, Joby Thomas, my last year, his now wife, girlfriend, they were roommates.
Yeah.
And their sorority sat behind our bench.
Got it. Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
At the time, basketball we didn't have football then. So basketball was the main thing. And so all the Greek chapters would, you'd have to go to other events to get points to have the best seats.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember seeing Leslie in the crowd, her beautiful eyes, and I was like, man, she's good looking. Well, the funny thing is my pledge brother's actually the one that gave me her number, who he was dating off and on.
Yeah. He
gave me the permission. Anyway, that's how we met.
Got it.
But she knew, obviously, I was affiliated as a manager at the time. But on our first date, she knew my ambition and dream to coach. And she, I went out to Arkansas as a graduate assistant coach, and she followed. I don't want to say followed, but she made the move 9 months later, knowing I said, let me get through the first year. She would interview. So she moved to an area that she had no idea. It was actually the best for us. We got engaged later that year in December of 2004, got married in 2006. And she was my biggest supporter, but she was also pretty excited to hear we were coming home. When I actually told her in the Dulles airport in DC, coming from a wedding in August of 2005, saying, babe, this is my last year. I honored my last year. I didn't tell my boss until January of 06. I didn't want him to think I would work any less for him or not as hard.
Right.
Coach Charlie Schaaf, another instrumental person in my life, just taught me how to work hard.
Yeah.
Attention to detail. And he was my biggest supporter. He said, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And we, anyway, maybe move back home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's your favorite thing about your wife?
Oh, man. Well, is this G-rated or
PG? It's got to pass the YouTube for kids.
There's so many things I love. I mean, one, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She puts up with me. We're very good balance.
Right.
I'm an extrovert, high. I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
Don't meet a stranger. She's my introvert. She's quiet, but we balance ourselves very well. She's a phenomenal mother with our kids. She's great. I mean,
that's awesome.
That's
cool. And so when you started, so you said, all right, I'm gonna stop doing basketball. Did you already have in your mind like, hey, I'm gonna go into real estate, or were you considering other things?
No. So at the time, my sister Colleen Terbet Sane,
Colleen's awesome, by the way. Used to help my mom buy and sell some homes. So
she started her real estate journey a couple years before me. She was a branch manager right up the road at the BB&T here off Six Forks.
Okay.
Right where the IHOP is.
Mm-hmm.
But she kind of got tired of the corporate world and was like, hey, I'm going to come back and help mom in real estate. So she started her journey, her career in 2004.
Yeah.
So, I knew when I was ready, I just knew I needed a change.
Right.
And growing up in it, just like my kids are looking at me, I have a 14 and 11-year-old. They just know dad sells houses. They don't know just like our friend, they don't know the ins and outs, the complexities. Just dad was on the phone or he's talking with a client. So I was like, I'm just going to go back and sell real estate. Like, how hard can it be?
Right.
I had no clue. And my mom actually later told me, because I remember I told her when I was coming home, it was all places in Charlotte for a Monday night football game against the Green Bay Packers. Getting ready in her hotel room. And she thought at first Leslie was pregnant because I had to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm coming home. Well, she was actually pretty nervous and scared for that first year or two because she knew how hard it was. And then she didn't want to have that pressure of feeling like she had to, support me per se.
Yeah.
And so that's how I moved back in May of 06, or we closed on our very first home in May of 06, went right to real estate school, went to Fonville Morrissey Real Estate School.
Nice.
That was a little bit of interesting because, you walk into a real estate school and you're Ida Turbot's son. You already know everything. I had no clue. Luckily, passed that on the first try. Passed my state exam. I don't even know what I got. I just saw pass, ran out. And then I started with Keller Williams with mom in August of 06.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of people don't understand about real estate. I mean, it's stressful. They think, we just sell houses, make a bunch of money.
As I just had a call today. I get a lot of people reach out to me through social saying, hey, do you mind talking with me or thinking about joining real estate? And by no means did I ever tell someone not to do it. It's just, I think they have to understand, especially in today's day and age of what they're walking into. 87% of people don't make it to their second year.
Right.
When you wake up every day unemployed, it's a different part, a little stress on you. So you got to love what you do.
Right.
And we can get into that, but
yeah, for sure. So you started that kind of real estate career. What was the toughest thing about real estate, you think, when you got in to like overcome or to learn? Was it trying to get leads? Was it just trying to keep people happy? I mean, what was the toughest part?
That's a great question. I think early, so I had different phases. When I first started, I always say before the iPhone was invented, our phones are right here. Real estate was a lot different in the fact that I would take phone duty.
Right.
And when I say this time frame, the latter part of 06, I always make a joke. I experienced about 6 months of the Wild Wild West before the financial crisis, the subprime market crashed. Was knowing where that business was going to come from. At the time, though, we had a lot of listings, a lot of business. I think the biggest challenge was just making sure, and I think this just came from my coaching background and what my old boss, Coach Schaaf, made. I was so afraid of missing something.
Yeah.
And I think what separates great agents from the good agents is just the attention to detail. One, we're human. We're not perfect.
Right.
But wanting to make sure we take care of everything and nothing goes unnoticed. And we're protecting our clients. So I think, and so much has changed from when I started. I mean, the contract, believe it or not, Big Al, was only 6 pages.
Yeah.
Now, when my mom started, it was only front and back.
Wow. Yeah.
So, this was,
I feel like we could use a little of less pages.
A lot of things have changed. But I think, just, really figuring out, where that next client's coming from, and really understanding, not to jump ahead, just kind of how to run your day-to-day business,
Right.
and we can talk about it here in a
Yeah,
little bit. But
for
I think
sure.
that's the biggest challenge for a lot of agents, is what to do.
Yeah.
When you're waiting, you're in theory waiting for that call or client that needs to buy or sell, and how to go about getting it.
Yeah. Over the years, who would you say, it's not necessarily, I know you probably have a lot of favorite clients, but like who do you think was a super cool client that was like unique? You worked with a basketball player, right? Or like, was there anyone that was like super famous, or like someone that people would know?
PJ Tucker comes to mind. Back in 2018, I think it was, he had a home over in Wakefield. He's a Raleigh guy, went to Enloe.
Yeah.
And what was funny is mom got a lead call, or his wife's grandma, I believe it was, reached out to mom. She had her license, but wanted to refer it out. And per the tax records, it says Anthony Tucker. And my mom, if Michael Jordan walked in, she'd probably know who he is, just because he's tall.
Right.
Like, you must play sports.
Yeah.
She goes, do you know an Anthony Tucker? And I go, PJ Tucker. And funny story is, I actually tried to recruit PJ to play in my AU team when I was coaching back in the day. That's a whole other story. I said, oh yeah, PJ.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out he just finished. At the time, he was playing with Suge Miami. He was playing with the Heat, and he was back home. Season just ended, and he wanted to meet with us about the house or what have you. Mom was busy, so I said, I'll go over. I took Jacob, and that's when I did my walkthrough video with him. One of the nicest, just down to earth guys in the world. He's really cool. Obviously, I had the honor to help Coach Sidney Lowe buy his home.
Awesome.
Mom sold his house. Coach Bobby Lutz, who I look up to so much, as a head coach in Charlotte. I mean, let's go. What's funny is, when I was a manager at Charlotte with Coach Lutz, as a manager, you don't talk unless spoken to. I mean, that's just how it is. And so when we were helping Coach Lutz buy his home, he and Janet, because he was the associate head coach at State.
Yeah.
I made a joke with him as we were sitting in his house for his inspection. I said, Coach, it's the most we've had, most conversation we've had. It's 3 years I was a manager. So, and then unfortunately, when he got let go at State, and he went to Iowa State. I think the biggest compliment to me, or someone can make, is when a past client reaches out to you. And I saw the news that they were going to make some changes. I already started looking at comps before the next day. He's like, can you come over?
Right.
So that was really meant a lot. Other cool clients. Sugar, I'd have to think about
That's
it.
A decent bit.
But I think, nothing's coming to my mind. But
right. No, that's awesome. So now I guess tell me a little bit today, like what is, what's your team look like? How's it work with, your mom? Like what's your business kind of look like today? I know we do the same coaching with the core, but
it was interesting. It was about 2016, 17. The light bulb kind of came on for me.
Yeah.
Of saying, Terb, I'm ready to make a next step. Prior to that, I was there to help mom, help run our team. When I say that, mentor, coach our agents. But, I was just happy, kind of, I don't want to say status quo, but just, if I could do a deal or two a month, great. But finally, I was like, you know what? There's so much more into this business. I want to push myself. And there's no other business where there's no ceiling.
Yeah.
You've got to go through a lot of adversity. On ups and downs. We're not, as much as we want to think we're in control of our life, we're not.
Yeah.
But that's when I hired my first coach in 2018, and my mom, who I have so much respect for, I helped coach and run our team with her. But I also wanted to expand what I was doing, so I almost created a team within a team.
Gotcha. Yep.
So me personally, right now though, as a whole, we have 3 great administrative assistants or admins. They're all licensed. We have Rachel, Amy, and Lauren, who's our office manager and the closing coordinator. Then I have Jordan Hollinsworth, who helped
been crushing it.
Unbelievable. Luckily, by God and just fate, that she added or answered a Facebook post from me 2 years ago. I kind of bamboozled her to think she was just going to help me with my day-to-day CRM stuff. And that morphed into her working primarily with all of my buyers.
That's awesome.
And she has just been amazing. Then we have 5 phenomenal agents on our team, and then of course Colleen. So 2 great couriers. So we have a great a great group.
Yeah. Has there been, I mean, I know I have my times where I just get, frustrated with the business, and not that I'm probably really going to quit, but I think about it, not often, but sometimes. Have you ever thought about quitting real estate, or what? Was there ever a time where you're just like, man, I can't do this anymore? Or do you think
I think there's always times that you think, man, it'd be nice just to have something steady, or
Right.
you're going to get income every month, and because all you got to do is plan a vacation in our life, right? And all of a sudden it gets busy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But I think,
it's like days like today where I've had a little
when
bit of beer.
activity or actions like that happen, it's sometimes out of fear.
Yeah.
And it's your first. I just said this yesterday, I think it was, and Coach David Kesey. I've had some great coaches in my life.
Right.
And Coach David Kesey, I remember him saying to me, and he was my first real estate coach along with Tim Stout.
Yep.
He said, "You're one phone call away."
Right. Yep.
And you're one phone call.
You've told
away.
me that a couple times when I've needed some faith.
You're struggling, or man, I'm doing all the calls. I'm doing my thank you notes. I'm doing my events. I'm doing my happy hours. And gosh darn it, where am I seeing it? And that's why right in front of me, I've written on my dream board process over the scoreboard, because you can come and do everything right. Does that mean, a transaction? No.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is planting those seeds for when they do bloom, you're ready to rock.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But I don't think I have, because I don't know what else I would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm in a position where I'm there to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a position, you and I, where can you see us being?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I also think we can't be silly to think we're our own boss, because we're not, right?
Yeah.
Our schedule's our boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, that's what one thing I had to learn real fast.
Right.
Is you got to have a good schedule in this business and follow it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like,
can you hear me okay?
No, you're good. You're good. I was just trying to get you a tad bit closer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's obviously every day is a grind. I love what I do. It's amazing. And, I'll probably, I'll do it.
No, there are times that I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. You pull your hair out.
I mean, when I coached, me and my bosses, we would be in a coaching meeting like, we're crazy.
Yeah.
We're doing 18 to 22-year-olds.
Right.
On our livelihood.
Yeah.
And there's times in our business, you find out real fast. I'll never forget. I was a little kid. I was probably middle school and just finished first day of school. We're at Golden Corral.
Yeah, yeah.
And mom's over there, and she looks at some random person. See that person? I'm like, they probably, look normal.
Right.
You find out the true character of somebody when you sell their house.
Right. Yep.
When money's involved, stress is involved. And I'm not saying that negatively.
Right.
We're human beings.
Yep.
But it's learning how to work with all kinds of dynamics and all kinds of people.
Right. No, exactly. And you got to be able to work all parts of that dish chart, right? Yeah. Which I always say, I mean, I'm better with some than other. I'm a high I. I think you're probably kind of an ID, high I too. And
ID, yeah.
It's I always tell people, I know you mentioned details earlier. I'm like, I am detail oriented, but that's definitely not my strong suit. Thank God I have Libby, but yeah, no, that's awesome. So I was going to ask you, from coaching, what do you think is the biggest lesson you learned from coaching that helped you in real estate?
Oh man, I would. This is great. I just said it to Jordan today.
Yeah.
Next play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next play. You know what I mean by that?
Right. And basketball is kind of like real estate. Go on streaks.
Okay. So first of all, my old boss, man, if I made a mistake, one thing I was really good at is not making the same one.
Right.
And he told me that.
Yeah.
He's like, Terb, you're really good at not repeating the same crap.
Right.
And in real estate, we learn from experiences not to repeat them.
Right.
And I don't mean, it could be something as little, for example, we're working with a new a buyer now that is building or buying new construction.
Yeah.
And we were told, and the one word too that I never like is assume.
Right.
Why? It makes an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
But
there's your dad joke for the podcast.
The agent that we were working with, no fault to her own, thinks that the project was going to be closing by end of January.
Yeah.
We went into it thinking that. Of course, a builder contract does not have a specific date. They're protected.
Right.
It could take them 2 years. All they need to do is tell us when it's 10 days from closing.
Right.
Well, the lender that our client was working with locked the rate before the holidays.
Yep.
Now it looks like we're going to have an extension that's going to cost money. Of course, the builder's not going to help us, which, again, it is what it is.
Right.
And I told Jordan and our team, I said, well, the next time when we have a buyer that's ready to close
Right.
for new construction, we're going to make sure we know the closing date before they lock.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one made a mistake per se, but it's
Right.
just taking that example or taking that situation, filing away and learning.
Right.
Other thing is, I can go on different examples, but it's
Right.
just learning. I've been doing this since 06, and you can attest to this.
Right.
Every deal is different.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a resale, new construction.
Yeah.
Every deal is different.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, and I'm like, I'm overpaid on some deals. Honestly, I'm underpaid on other deals too.
Yeah.
It all
balances
evens
out.
But no, that's awesome. So as far as you got a son. Tell me a little bit about Jacob.
Jacob's 14. It's hard to believe he'll be 15 in May.
Yeah.
He is loves space, SpaceX.
Yep.
He loves sports. He didn't have much of a chance with me. He's been going to Panther games since he was an infant, really since 2013 or 20. Yeah. He was 5. He was going full time to Panther games.
That's awesome.
Loved going to Canes games. He loves. He actually is into history, but he went to space camp this past summer, so he's doing well. He's a manager for the basketball team at Wakefield Middle.
Yeah.
So he's
following Terb's footsteps.
My footsteps. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then my daughter Jenna is 11, going on 21.
Wow.
Wide open, and she is in cheer extreme here in Raleigh, and that is a whole nother part of life.
Right.
Cheer. She is dad's girl.
Right.
And very. It's funny how each kid can be a little bit different. Jacob, I always say, he's more of my introvert, a little more shy, rule follower.
Yeah.
Jenna toes the line like her dad.
Yeah.
And but it's
Wild
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So if you're looking at your life today, if you're like, all right, well, I even know the core makes you have 5-year goals and probably 10-year goals, but 10 years from now, you'll be what? Early 450s?
Yeah, I'll be in my golly. I'm 44.
I mean, in 10 years, I'll be 40. So that makes you feel
I'll
any
be
better.
54.
Yeah. But if you're like, all right, Alex, like in 10 years, maybe not paint the perfect life, but if you're like, obviously you've established a great life for yourself. You got a great business, got a great family, have an amazing house. I need to still come check it out, but I saw it briefly the other day. But do you think, in 10 years, what do you think your ideal life would look like? Do you think it would just be the same as today? Are there other goals that you have, in your mind that you're like,
well,
hey?
I would love to have our business take what my mom's worked so hard to build, carry on that tradition, that culture, but have a team that's operating where we are operating with high character, and we're getting business because of our name. Raving fans, and to where when I want to work, because I want to work,
right?
But I'm helping coach and direct our company.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on asking this question, but I know I'm asking a lot of deep ones, and they're only going to get deeper.
Questions.
But what do you think's your why? Like, what do you think your why is? Whether it's for real estate, whatever, life.
My why is, at the end of the day, my why is my family.
Yeah.
I mean, we get up. I mean, when you have kids, and you'll be doing that one day, you change the perspective changes of your life. You hear, you can't love something so unconditional until you have a kid.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, I remember when Leslie had Jacob, and the admiration I had for her. I mean, what the women do to deliver babies is unbelievable, bro. Like, we've got it pretty easy. But getting up every day, I don't want to let them down. And on top of that, my why is to help people.
Right.
I know that's a very generic and broad answer, but when you can help someone get their dream home, when you can help someone get their house, unfortunately, when you have to help someone go through a divorce and they turn another chapter of their life, when a loved one's passed away, and you can help bridge that gap from helping them sell their home to, there's just so many things that we're put in position to do and help people. I think we're here for a reason. And
absolutely,
I think that's it, man. I think we're on this world, this earth, such a short period of time. You blink, man. I mean, shit, I was 30. Yesterday.
Yeah.
And mentally, I'm still 30.
Right.
But, we're here such a short amount of time. And I think it's just When you leave, how do you want to be remembered? And I want to do
Yeah.
the absolute best for my family, to give them everything I had and more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you kind of led into the 3 big questions. So the first one's going to be kind of on your legacy. If someone, whoever does your eulogy one day, you die, you have a funeral, and it's sad to think about, but what do you hope that person says about you?
Oh, man, that's a deep question. I would think that when you hung out with Terb, you always had a great time, and you knew that what you saw is what you got. And I hope people said he would put you first before himself, and always try to do the right thing.
No, I love that. Love that. And I actually stole this one from you. What's your what's the best advice you ever gotten from whom?
Yeah, no, I always go back to my old high school coach, Coach Mark Miller. I've had a lot of great advice, but this one always stood out for me, especially when I would meet adversity or something.
Yeah.
And it goes back, honestly, and I'll touch on it in a second, is finish. Finish, meaning that whatever you start, finish.
Yeah.
That could be a project, could be a file, could be a transaction, it could be where it's something that's not going your way, and it's easy to hit that eject button. And so it goes back to my senior year in high school. My junior year, I backed up a guy named Antoine Harris. Not many people listening may know that name, but he was probably one of the best athletes in the country, if not.
Yeah.
He actually went to basketball was a sideshow. Like, if he really wanted it, he was only about 6 feet, give or take. He's actually still here. He owns a restaurant here in Raleigh.
Yeah.
But he ran for over 6,000 yards at Ravenscroft, was drafted in the 5th round by the New England Patriots, has 3 Super Bowl rings. That's who I backed up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he graduated, and I'm like, it's finally my time.
Right.
I'm going to start.
Yeah.
And they had different things. Another guy came in to compete with me.
Right.
Actually took the starting point guard position. And in the fall, I thought about quitting.
Yeah.
Said, I'm over this. But I already started with my, preseason, and I said, I'm going to fight tooth and nail, work hard. And there was a kid he was 2 years younger than me, starting at the 2 spot.
Yeah.
And he and I are buddies today. But when I stepped on the floor, I wanted to rip his eyes out.
Yeah.
And by midseason, I was starting. But it could have been very easily for me to walk away.
Yeah.
And different things than anything we do. But yeah, finish. Like, so when I'm coaching my son,
right,
it could be as little as a layup. You're going through layup lines and you miss a layup. It's easy to throw it back to finish, make the shot. So that's probably the best thing that stands out to me.
No, that's awesome. And I had a kind of similar experience. I remember I played baseball growing up, and I got a lazy eye. I couldn't see that ball for jack. So I remember I was playing coach pitch, where it's literally, or not coach, machine pitch, where it's literally like a machine.
Bronco league. I think that's what it was used to call Bronco league, pitching machine. Yeah.
Straight over the mountain. I still could never get a hit. And my parents, I'm sure, between that and AAU basketball, where all that we did was travel to Virginia and everything every other weekend and watch me sit the bench, I'm sure at some points they were like, all right, we kind of might want Alex to quit. But I remember when I was playing baseball, I didn't get a hit. But it's funny, a buddy of mine, Brett Bischler, his dad was actually my coach. But I remember my dad was like, all right, you're not going to quit. I know you want to. Because, I would get bullied. They'd be like, oh, this kid sucks. I remember bawling my eyes out one time after practice. And I was like, yeah, this is BS. I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to be treated this way. Obviously, I'm not good at this. And my thing, obviously, I don't really believe in quitting, but I do. There are some things where you have to understand where your natural gifts and abilities are. And if that's maybe not serving those, then maybe it is a good idea to quit.
There's a difference of quitting. There's a difference. I don't even want to say we're quit, but there's a difference of saying, this isn't for me once the season's over.
Right. Yep.
I think what sports,
that's a good point.
I think what sports gives to us that we have lost sight in our world sometimes today, because we want to coddle so much, is adversity.
Yeah.
Sports, life's not fair, and so is sports.
Right.
And you find different challenges. So you went through that seat. You're like, this ain't not for me.
Right.
I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah.
So, but you finished.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
How many times hopefully it's not as many times, but you leave a closing, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that's
got
over.
it done. Yeah.
But you finished.
Right. No, and I agree. That's awesome. All right. Last question is, if you had, kind of going on with the legacy question, but if you had one word or one phrase that, either defined you or you wanted to be remembered by? What do you think that would be?
Who you work with matters.
I honestly wasn't going to guess that, but I should have.
No, I mean, I say that as a joke a little bit. Now I'm going to tell you a little background about who you work with matters.
Yeah, I would love that.
And so when I started, got my first coach. Again, it was David Kesey.
Yeah,
he's out of California, phenomenal, but he didn't sell real estate. But
Yeah.
he helps real estate coaches or agents. So he has a guy named Tim Stout that helps coaches, but he's an agent. He's a mega agent. The guy is just. I hope if he watches this, it's just I have so much respect for him because he grew up in East Tennessee, former UFC like MMA fighter.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah, that's nuts.
And got his GED. I remember I went down and shadowed him and his team.
Yeah,
and I'm a guy. He reads. I mean, he's just great at what he does. Entrepreneur. And one thing David taught me back in 18 was they're really big into video, social media marketing. And I was like, finally, I wasn't worried about what people thought of me.
Right.
I'm going to start posting. That's a lot different in today's world with social, but back just 5 years ago, it was a lot different.
Yeah.
And every time I listened to Tim, he always finished by saying, "Who you work with matters."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Man, I like that." So I went to him and I said, "It's not like it's copyrighted."
Yeah.
And I went to him and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I say that?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Man, you're not in my market. Go for it."
Right.
So, I went with it. You can see on my shirt, everything I have is "Who you work matters." And then my highest form of flattery is when people copy.
Right.
So, I've seen some people throw out the "Who you work with
I've
matters."
seen it on social media.
But we know where it started.
Yeah.
But I think it's so much. It applies not only for what we do in our business, but anything.
Right.
Who you work with matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, in our business, we're looked at as commodities. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
People look at real estate agents, and all we do is open. We make too much money. We open doors.
Right. Yep.
They don't realize the complexities of everything that goes into a transaction.
Yeah.
And so they see the difference.
Yeah.
But you also can say the same thing. I mean, good thing when you get on a plane, who you work with matters.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a funny.
You can go through attorneys. You can do doctors.
Right.
There's so many things about it. But yeah, I would think that hopefully, like I had somebody send me an email, another agent friend, and somebody used the "Who you work with matters" phrase.
Right.
They're copying him. I'm like, no, they're not. That's not it's not like it's me, but that's the thing that people think of.
Right. And hopefully they're.
And Super Terb, of course.
Yeah. Super Terb. Duh.
Helping buy. Do you know the story of Super Terb? Yeah.
I know you're a superhero, but other than that.
Have you seen the video? Okay. See, I'm actually going to probably repost.
All right.
So
I need to see
I know
it.
you may be trying to wrap up here, but real fast.
We got all the time.
Super Terb, because I haven't done a Super Terb video in about 3-4 years. So when I was coaching, I'm not coaching. When I was doing videos, I was just always thinking different ideas.
Right.
And I was like, what about? And I was talking with Tim. We were doing our weekly call, and I said, what about Super Terb? I can help buyers and sellers in distress. He goes, when are you going to give me that video?
Yeah.
I said, I guess next Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
So I went and shot my very first video with the team. It was so funny. I got a cape. I made this shirt, and it's Super Terb.
Yeah. That's all.
And so anyway, that's how it started. And then I did a second video where I was helping a seller in distress.
Yeah.
And then I got the koozies. I've got just everything. So
yeah.
That's how it is. But if anything, I was showing Amy, who just started working with us, the videos. Started because she was wondering. She's like, you need to repost these. It's just funny. But that's how it started.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. And I think
because the other thing too, I know I like to talk. I think with the realtors in specific, you're a brand.
Right. Yeah.
And I think people, first of all, I tell agents, because you can tell some are uncomfortable. Now there are some agents that absolutely you can see that crush it without social media.
Right.
I mean, there's different plans of attack in whatever you're comfortable in doing. But in many ways, when we're in an age where you can say, hey, Alexa, give me a realtor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
They're going to know Big Al.
Yeah.
They're going to know Terb. We're salespeople first.
Right.
I'm saying that for agents that could be listening. You're a salesperson first.
Yep.
And if you're not comfortable with that, you're in the wrong profession in 2023.
Yeah.
Because they can call anybody. They can message anybody to help them. But it's about having that brand, and coaching helped me that, because when I had to recruit kids to come to Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
Yeah. I don't even know where the heck that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You had to be pretty creative in getting people to come there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just want to let you know, on the Super Terb, I think you're a super guy. You've obviously been an awesome mentor, friend for me. Think you're one of the funnest dudes I've probably ever been around.
I appreciate that.
And I think also, you got a lot of depth to you, a lot of why behind what you do. And obviously you're crushing the real estate game. You're going to continue to live out that legacy. And I know I'm a lot
appreciate
younger
it.
than
I
you, but
got
I'm proud of you.
excited about you having me on because, like I said, I started the Super Turb podcast over 2 years ago just because I wanted more content.
Yep.
And when you started yours, I know you had it and you kind of got it going again. I was pretty excited to be a guest on your show. And the last thing I'll leave you guys is anybody in anything you do expect, but specifically here in the real estate world, and is consistency.
Yep.
So many people do not see it all the way through. Whether that's marketing, videos, podcasts, find what you like to do,
right?
And but stick with it. Follow your calendar, follow your schedule. Stick with it. I'm telling you, it's going to pay off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And where can people want to find you if they want to connect with you? Social media, if they want to buy a house, want to sell a house, where can they find you?
Yeah, just Michael Terbet, Terbet, but Super Turb. Just Google me. I got a YouTube channel. Instagram, I'm even on TikTok world, man. I'm trying to stay with the times, man. It's YouTube, just Michael Terbet, and that's with a B, not a D.
Yeah.
And people,
I say it wrong, I'm sure, all the time. So
no, you're good. That's why, honestly, when I coached, that's why #Coach Turb came about. One, my coaching background, but when I coached kids, I do work a lot of camps.
Yeah.
People wouldn't forget your name when you say Coach Turb with a B, not a D.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll always joke, Coach Turd,
Turd,
remember, So I always joke like that. But yeah, anywhere you can find me, you're great. And then, of course, you listen to Big Al. You're in great hands with Big Al too. But anything we do to help you accomplish your real estate goals, that's what we're here for.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 4 with the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Terbet. Thank you so much for taking some time to be out here.
Appreciate you, dude.
I appreciate it. So, thank you, brother.
Hell yeah. That was awesome, dude. I could talk forever. I have time with that.
I think we did good. I think we're right. 45 minutes. Yeah.